Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly EIDL PPP Open Q&A webinar with the SBA. We will be featuring credit reports and scores in today's webinar with two experts from the SBA. My name is Julie Hinker, and I am the program coordinator for the SDCEO Women's Business Center. There's only one Women's Business Center in the state of South Dakota, and we are very honored and privileged to get to serve the entire state. So our main goal as a WBC is to help new businesses launch and then help women grow existing businesses as well. And we do this through several different ways. We offer free one-on-one business advising. We also offer many training opportunities, webinars like the ones you're on today, as well as conferences, networking, and different personal growth opportunities. So we'd love to work with you, get in touch with us, and we'd love to help you out. So before we get started, I would like to introduce Wendy Klug, who's the program manager for the VBOC of the Dakotas. I believe Wendy's on. Good morning, Wendy. What's going on in your world?
Good morning. It's not snowing, and today we're going to be up to 52 degrees. So I'm going to go sun tanning after this because you have to, and it's December.
That sounds awesome.
My name is Wendy Klug, and I am the program manager of VBOC of the Dakotas. That stands for Veterans Business Outreach Center. We are here to serve military, active military, military spouses, and veterans as well. Of course, we don't discriminate, so we're able to serve anybody that's looking for small business help. I want to give just a quick reminder that next week on Wednesday, we are going to be having a reboot event. It is about a 3-hour entrepreneurial training workshop. It has to do everything with financial projections to marketing to what kind of legal structure you might choose. So if you haven't started a business, or if you know somebody that's looking to start one, that is a wonderful webinar to be at. For more information on that, you can Google VBOC of the Dakotas. Otherwise, you can go to our Facebook to get the registration link as well. So that is what we are here for, and anything we can assist with marketing or business planning, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy. It's great having you on, and we love being able to partner with you. So while we will address EIDL and PPP loan program updates, the first part of the webinar will focus on credit reports and scoring. And Pam Selberg and Hedy Sakala from the SBA will be leading the discussion and are here to answer any questions. So we're excited to have them both here today with us. We appreciate you being on. I will remind everyone that this session will be recorded, and we'll send the recording along with any corresponding slides and notes in a follow-up email later on today. So if you're attending right now, you'll get the link for everything, including registration for upcoming EIDL and PPP Open Q&A webinars. If you have any specific questions, I will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A. So we really encourage you to use this time, since we have these experts on with us today. Please ask those questions. And like in the past, if they can't answer them live, they will follow up with you and get the correct information to you later on in the week. Okay, without further ado, Pam and Hedy, thank you so much and welcome. The stage is all yours.
Well, thank you very much. This is Hedy. I don't think you can see me. I think you're looking at my SBA screen on there. But thank you so much. I'm a native South Dakotan. Worked in South Dakota for 5 years for USDA Rural Development and a couple of years for SBA in El Paso, Texas. And now I'm up in Bismarck, North Dakota. And Pam and I have the same job in different locations, and we've teamed up before to do some presentations. And so I'm really excited that I get the chance to work through the South Dakota Women's Business Center and present some of this information to you today on credit reports and scoring. So there is our contact information. Pam is in, normally her office is in Rapid City, but I think she's still working out of her home. My office, as I said, is in Bismarck, North Dakota. So if you are tuning in from the North Dakota area, you can get a hold of me. Or if you're in South Dakota and you need to talk to somebody in North Dakota, feel free. I'm happy to help. Anyway, really best to get a hold of me by email at this point. It's the easiest way. So we're going to talk a little bit about credit reports and scoring. Pam and I both did a stint this last summer with our Office of Disaster Assistance doing the EIDL loan program. Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program through our Office of Disaster Assistance. And I know you're going to talk to that about that a little bit later on today in the presentation. But one of the things that we saw more frequently than we'd like is that people were declined because their credit score was too low. So this is timely. A lot of our small businesses are reaching out to get financing where they might not have before. And if they don't know what is on their report or what their score is, there could be a negative issue there. So right now we're going to talk about credit reports. What's on a report? It's basically a record of how you manage and repay your debt. How much have you got? What type of credit do you have? How have you managed that credit over time? And why do you need to know that? Credit reports can be used to verify your identity. Careful with that. But that information on your report is used by lenders and vendors who might extend you credit. So you need to check your report regularly to check fraud or identity theft, also to make sure there's no errors on there. Or if you're looking at bringing on an equity partner, if you're in business and you're going to bring somebody in as an equity partner, you're probably going to want to check their credit report to see how they have managed their debt. Again, credit for mortgages, charge cards, and vendor financing, they're all going to check your credit report. Your credit reports are in the US, primarily are with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So those are the three credit bureaus. There are other credit bureaus as well that have been, especially coming up. There's a lesser utilized one called Innovis. There are other credit bureaus that provide business credit reports. Pam will talk to you about that in a little bit. And there are other models too, we'll talk about a little bit later. But the three primary ones are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So where do they get that information? You don't report it, but the people you do business with do. So if you have a mortgage, whatever lender you have your mortgage with is going to report how much the mortgage is, how much the balance is, are you making your payments on time? They're going to do that probably on a monthly basis. So that gets recorded on your credit report. Utility companies can do that. Medical facilities will report, especially if you're delinquent. But there's no required reporting. And that can be good and bad, depending on your situation. And it can be, your information can be reported to 1, 2, or 3 agencies or none because it's not required. The credit bureaus then maintain a database of borrowers and collect that data. They provide the central storage for that data and then release that information in the form of a credit report. So what's included on your credit report? It's all tied to your Social Security number. So keep that in mind. That's really important, especially when we're talking about so much fraud going on nowadays. A really good reason to keep checking your report on a regular basis, but it's also going to have your name, any aliases. So if you just got married, it's going to have your maiden name on there, as well as your current married name. We'll have your employer on there. It might not be up to date, but it'll be on there. Your lender loan reports, your payment history balances, installment loan companies like auto loans, your retail credit cards, your JCPenney card, your Kohl's card. Cell phone companies can report payment history. That's non-traditional. They normally won't put anything on there unless you're delinquent on something. But if you've got good credit there, you might want to ask them to. Cable internet companies, it's going to have account numbers, loan types, terms, and payment history. All that information is going to be collected on. If you have anything negative on there, like collections or foreclosures, bankruptcies, that'll be on there. Agencies, collection agencies are going to report defaults and unpaid debts as well. So what does not appear on your credit report? Your checking and savings accounts balances. Nobody is going to be reporting on the amount of cash you have available. Or your income. Your income is not going to be on there. Your medical history is not going to be on there. And whatever purchases you make with cash or check or debit card, that's not going to be on there. Again, that's a double-edged sword. Business account information is not going to be on there. No demographic information. Your driving record or marital status is not going to be on there. Who can get your credit report? There's a nice list. So potential creditors, landlords, employers. I know when I went to work for the federal government, they pulled my credit report. Utility companies, insurance companies, they use your credit score actually as a basis for determining how much they charge you in your premiums. So collection agencies, government agencies, student loan lenders, or anybody with a court order. Now, who can't get your credit report? Anybody that's not on that list, unless they get a credit report, I'm sorry, a court order. But your report can't be used in a divorce or a child custody, immigration, or other legal proceeding. So you know that. So what factors affect your credit score? There is an algorithm that's put together that scores your credit based on a lot of different factors. These are not scored by humans, by the way. This is all done with this algorithm. So you're not going to be able to call somebody up and complain that they have done something wrong. It's all done by the algorithm. So it's going to record your payment history if you've got late or missed payments, how much you owe. So we're going to be looking at, sorry, should have turned that off. Going to be looking at how much credit you have available and how much credit you've used of that. We're talking about rates greater than 30% that can damage your score. If you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit, for instance, and you're regularly charging at least $5,000 or $4,000 a month on that, that's going to have a negative effect on your credit score. We want to see you keep that under 30%. So how long have you had that credit? You've had your credit card for 10 years or even 5 years. That's a nice long time. And if it's good credit that's on there, you're going to want to hang on to that. Recent activity. How many inquiries have you had? We'll talk about hard pulls and soft pulls in just a minute. And then the credit mix is going to be taken into effect as well. There are different types of credit: mortgages, credit cards, installment loans, auto loans, other retail credit cards. So there's different types of credit. Here's how they're weighted. And this is FICO. That's Fair Isaac company. Now they just go by FICO. And these are the scores. The scores are, the scoring algorithms are specific to each bureau. That's why all three bureaus may have a little bit different score on you, because they weight these things a little bit differently. They shouldn't be very far off from each other, though. If they are, go in and check on that report and see that there's not something wrong with the report. But 35% of the weight of your score comes from your payment history. Over the last 12 months, how many times have you been 30 days late or 60 days late? Or have you kept that payment due and made that payment on time? Normally with the consumer credit reports, if you're a couple of days late, it's not going to get reported as a late payment. But be careful with that, because if you go into business for your business credit reports and scores, if you are 1 day late, it's going to be counted as late. So be real careful with that and just try to make your payments on time. 30% is on the amounts owed. So if you had, again, a $10,000 credit card limit and you continually charge $3,000 to $5,000 or more on there, that's going to have a 30% effect on your score. 10% is on the new credit. How many inquiries, hard pulls have you got? Those drop off after 2 years, but still, they're going to have a negative effect. 15% is based on the length of your credit history. How long have you had that credit card? How long have you had that mortgage or a mortgage? And then 10% is going to be on the credit mix. You have a mortgage, you have a national credit card, you have a store credit card, you have an installment loan history. The algorithms are going to look at those factors. There is another type of credit score that's not FICO. It's called a Vantage score. And this is relatively new, but it is gaining some market share. And that takes different things into consideration. Same information's on your reports, but as you can see, that the comparison there, Past payment history, again, is going to be the number one thing that they're going to look at with both models. But the outstanding debt, the FICO puts 30% on that, but the total balances in debt are only moderately influential on the Vantage score. And it's more important to have the age and the type of credit and the percent of credit used that's more influential on the Vantage score. So depending on your situation, you might want to ask your lender if they can pull a Vantage score if you're right on the cusp of prime or subprime. Also, Vantage score will record information on accounts that are less than 6 months old, which FICO will not. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act is what regulates the credit bureaus. So they have to have, accuracy and fairness and privacy of information. So they are governed by that Fair Credit Reporting Act. And then if there is an issue, credit bureaus are monitored by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And there's issues with that. You can dispute incorrect or incomplete information with your lender or vendor. And if they don't follow up and investigate or correct any errors, you can file a complaint with the CFPB on that. You can request that the credit bureau correct any information you think is inaccurate, and each bureau has a way to do that on their website. So if you go and look at your reports and you find something that's not accurate, you can get it corrected. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act has, you have rights there. The agencies have to follow these rules. Again, annualcreditreport.com is where you can get your credit reports for free once every 12 months. That's by law. The agencies have to correct the errors. They can't report outdated negative information. So keep checking on your reports on that, because that will damage your scores. You have to give consent if your reports are provided to your employers, and you can seek damages from people that violate this. So you can also limit pre-screened offers, and I've done that before. I think there's a limit. There's like a 5-year limit on that. So you have to go in and redo it. But it really does help, because if you don't want those pre-screened offers for credit cards coming in the mail, where somebody could potentially go into your mailbox and take them out and use that information, you might want to go in and limit that. So if you're an identity theft victim or active duty military personnel, you have additional rights. Go to that link right there, the consumerfinance.gov/learn-more, to find out more about that. You can post a freeze or a fraud alert on your account. And that's if you go in, you find information in there that leads you to think someone has stolen your identity or your social security number at the least. You can put a freeze on there. That means nobody can do anything with your report until you release the freeze. If you post a fraud alert, that means somebody can check your report, but they can't give you credit based on that report without first talking to you. So if you post a fraud alert, it's not quite as harsh as a freeze, and they would have to call you. You're going to post a cell phone number on there so they can talk to you about that before and get your okay on that. This is just an example of transactions pulled by you. These are the inquiries. And remember, that was, I think, 10% on the weighting. But you can see here where you, on this report in July of 2012, there was a real estate loan, and this was pulled on behalf of Merchants Express. This is one that you initiated, or the person whose report this is. And then down at the bottom, you've got M&T Bank. So that was a permissible purpose. And you initiated that, and also Western Funding. Now, since those were only a month apart, I'm going to guess that maybe that was for the same thing. There is a safe harbor. So you know what, if you finally figured it out and put it in the algorithm, if you're out there and you're shopping for mortgage, for instance, and you're going to shop at a couple, 3 different places to see where you can get the best rates and terms, if you do that within a 45-day period, then the algorithm will only count that as one pull against your credit, which is really good considering that that's what everybody does nowadays, and they finally caught up with that. But these that are initiated by you are called hard pulls, and they do show on your credit report, and they do count as inquiries on your score. This one shows you where there are soft pulls that were done. They're on your report, but they are not included in the scoring. So for instance, personally, I have a Discover card, and every month I get a Discover card. It tells me what my current score is. They've just done a soft pull on that. So these places that are recorded there, maybe it was a potential investor or it was an existing creditor. Someone wanted to offer you pre-approved credit. All of those can be on your report, and they would be soft pulls and would not count against your score. I thought this was interesting when I was doing research for this, but it makes a lot of sense. The FICO scoring, varies by average by age group. And it does make a lot of sense because, if you're in your early 20s, you probably haven't got an awful lot of credit history built up. And yet those people that are over the age of 60 have probably got years and years of credit history pulled up, accumulated. But if you're a younger person and your score is down in the 600s, you're not alone. The average FICO score in the US is 703, according to Experian. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. There are also industry-specific credit scoring models. So for auto loans, for instance, if you're going to go get a car and you're going to use the Ford Motor Company credit, they have their own model that they use, and those scores can be different from 200, 250 to 500. Also, if you're getting an SBA loan, one of our 7A small loans, you're going to get a different scoring model on that too. You're not going to see it most likely, but your lender will, and that will determine how easily that goes through. So a lot of people have different scoring models. So why don't I have a credit score? That's a good question. And if you don't have one, you should know that. You can get that put together though, relatively easily. You do, according to FICO, with the FICO scoring anyway, with the big three bureaus, you have to have an account that's at least 6 months old. Now, if you did a Vantage score, they would take into account an account that was less than 6 months old, but most people are still using the FICO scoring. So remember that, get started on that. You can get a secured credit card where you go into your lender, most lenders have these, go in and ask them for a secured credit card. You are going to have to give them cash up front for say a $300 credit card. And then over a 6-month period of time, you use that charge $300 worth of credit on that and make those payments in full and on time every month until the $300 is used up. At that time, the bank will report those 6 months worth of credit, good payment history on a report, and all of a sudden you've got an account. Then you can go in, the bank will give you back the $300 and you've got a $300 credit card. You can ask someone with good credit to put you on their credit card as a co-borrower. I actually did this with one of my kids when they went to college. So I put them on as a co-borrower on one of my Visa cards. And then I cut up the card, his anyway. So I always knew what was going to be on there, but he had a card. And so his credit, he got credited with my good payment history. So when he got out of college, he had that on his credit report. You can take out a credit builder loan. That's real similar to the credit card. And I don't know in North Dakota, I don't know anybody that does credit builder loans. A lot of times the CDFI might do those. In South Dakota, I would talk to Pam about that or Julie and ask them. Somebody will know if there's credit builder loans available in South Dakota, but I don't think there are any available in North Dakota, unfortunately. But they're just like a secured credit card, only it's an installment loan. You can ask a potential credit card to request your extended view score. That's something that was initiated by Experian a few years ago to help underserved, underbanked, and unbanked individuals. Those are people that have a job, but what they're doing is usually just using their debit card on something or paying cash. So guess what? They don't have anything on a credit report. But if they use an extended view or potentially Vantage score, they can get rental data or public records, other non-traditional credit data, something on a payday loan, for instance. The payday lenders usually don't report to the credit bureaus. So you can look at doing that. And credit bureaus, just an FYI, don't score a credit report if the report indicates the consumer is deceased. That's just a hint, an FYI, because if you are married, for instance, with a husband or wife on the card with you, and one of you passes away, the other one's not going to be able to use that credit. That card is going to be frozen, and you're going to have to go through the executive of the estate, actually, if that's you or somebody else, is going to have to go through a process to get that released. My suggestion would be go get a credit card in your own name. Go take out a car loan in your own name so that you have that separate from your joint accounts. That's just my personal view on that. So how do you improve your credit score? So get copies of all your credit reports and scores from the 3 bureaus, review them for accuracy, take actions to correct any issues, pay down your credit card balances so you don't have any more than 30% of credit available, and then make sure all your accounts are current. This report of account came from an Equifax report. If you see something negative on there that resulted because of a dispute with the lender, contact the vendor first and see if you can fix the situation. Maybe they'll say, oh, that was my error, let me fix that. Check it again the following month and make sure they did. But you can ask them first. And if that doesn't work, go to the credit bureau and do it that way. The Consumer Credit Reporting, CFPB, you can use them as a last resort if you have to. But this one, you can see the high credit on this one was $3,500, $3,400. Credit limits $13,500, and the balance is $480. So all below that 30% mark on that. It is a credit card, so it's a revolving type of an account. And then there's about 5 years history on that. So that's pretty good. And then just so you know, if you remember the credit mix on the things that they are weighted, excuse me, the credit mix on there, don't go open an account just to balance the mix. So if you've got national credit cards, store credit cards, and a mortgage, don't go out and open an installment loan just because you want to balance that mix. No, don't do that. You're only going to look at credit when you need it. But you should know what your mix is so that if you don't have an installment loan on there, you've got every other kind on there, but maybe you need the installment loan and you need it to buy a bedroom set. When you go to the furniture store, a lot of times they've got, the furniture store will give you credit on that, and that would be an installment loan from a third party, and that would count toward your mix to balance the mix, as opposed to, say, writing a check for it or putting it on an existing credit card. So know what your credit mix is so you can kind of monitor that. If you've made payments on time to vendors or companies that don't report to credit bureaus, sometimes they don't, you can get that information put in yourself. You can ask the vendor to do it. If they don't, you can go through the credit bureau to get that put in. Credit information is added frequently, typically monthly, and they'll a lot of times report after the end of the statement closing date. So if you're right on the cusp and you want to go get some credit somewhere and your score is just a couple of points lower than what you'd like it to be, make your payment on time, wait until after that statement closing date, because that's usually when they're going to report to the credit bureaus. If you've made your payment on time, that's going to be reported, and just one more month can sometimes even sway that credit score. Again, get a credit card that you prepay for, or become a co-signer with someone who's got good credit. Don't close your unused credit cards that you've had for a while that show positive payment history. If you want to, hang on to, you don't use your Visa card anymore and you're putting everything on your Target card so you can get your 5% off. Just take that Visa card and, go buy a car wash with it once a month. So it's active and it's on your report and you make your payments on time and it shows positive payment history. consolidate or refinance student loan debt, look into that very carefully. That may or may not be a good thing for your situation. All situations are different. So you're going to have to look into this and do a lot of research on that before you pull the trigger on that one. Credit builder loans, I did tell you there aren't any of those available in North Dakota, but there is a link that you can go to just to kind of find out what credit builder loans are if you're interested at all in that. Or you can wait. Negative credit is deleted 7 years after the original delinquency date. The inquiries are deleted, fall off after 2 years. The bankruptcies stay on your credit history for 10 years on a Chapter 7 or 7 years on a Chapter 13. Make sure that if you've got a bankruptcy on your credit report, that it's showing closed and it's not left open if it is in fact closed. So keeping up with your personal credit report, I told you that you can get your reports for free from all 3 bureaus once every 12 months. You don't have to sit down and get all 3 of them at one time. You can actually say get the Equifax report in April and the TransUnion report in August. They're all going to have almost identical information on there, not exactly the same, because if I am a small vendor, I may report only to Experian, for instance. So take a look at all 3 reports when you start out, but then as you go along, you can do it like this so that you can keep track of if there's any fraud going on there. Again, it's annualcreditreport.com. That's where you want to go. There's a lot of others too. There's Credit Karma, I think, but the annualcreditreport.com is the one that's mandated by law to be available to you. And again, keeping up with your personal credit report, this kind of ties everything up for me. Get your reports regularly, review them for accuracy, and dispute errors quickly when you find them. For credit disputes, if you've got an issue that the vendor won't fix or the lender won't fix, you need to dispute something, provide documentation, not the original, obviously make copies. Send the disputes to the credit reporting agencies and your creditors, and then request a new report to verify that that correction was made. And that's all I have on consumer credit reports right now. So at this point, I would turn this over to Pam, who's going to do our business credit reports segment of this.
Thanks, Hetty. And then I'm going to have you do the slides.
Oh, you want me to do the slides?
So if you want to go to the next slide, that would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, I think that's how it has to be. So
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So just so everybody knows, there is a difference. I'm sorry. Okay, just so everybody knows, there is a difference between your personal credit history and your business credit history. When we were looking at the EIDL loans, I think there was some confusion there. There were some people that didn't understand that. There were some people that were denied the EIDL loan and they had no idea why they were denied the EIDL loan. So that is why we're going through this presentation, hopefully to give our audience more of a clear understanding between your personal credit report and really what you have on your business credit report. So on your personal credit, as Hetty said, it's a record of your use of credit. On your business credit history, it's your business's record of handling their debt and financial obligations. Next slide, Hetty. So what is on, what is a business credit report? Basically what it is, it's a risk assessment tool used to evaluate the risk of lending to you and your business. And people will often look at business credit reports. Let's say, for example, you want to start doing business with the government and you're going to be contracting with the government. Your business credit report is vital to whether or not you might actually get a contract with the government. Next page, please. Importance of a good business credit report. Again, keep in mind let's use the example of you're going to be doing contracting and with the government. the person that you're going to be contracting to has no idea really what your business, more than likely they've not had a previous relationship with you if this is the first time you've applied. So your business credit report is really the only tool that business or that entity has to know about your business. They can look and say, okay, how well do you pay your bills? That's going to determine whether they do a net 15 for you, a net 30 for you, if they're going to make you pay as you go. So basically the importance of a good business credit report is you're going to have better access to financing without a personal guarantee, better terms for your supplier. That there again, maybe you can do net 15, net 30, and that would stop you from going out to get a line of credit because your credit bureau is good enough to where that vendor is going to allow you time to make your payment. And verification of business management capability for potential partners and investors. I happen to know an angel investor, and they use this business credit report a lot in determining whether or not they are going to actually put money into a business or not, or if they'll actually invest into a business. Next slide, please, Hetty. What's included on your business credit report? Basically the same information that's on your personal report, but it's going to relate to your business name, your business address and phone number, the DUNS number, and your industry classification code. Business credit history, your business background, and then your public record information. So you guys can look at that a little bit in more detail once we send the slide, and everybody will get a copy of these slides at the end. Go ahead, Hetty, next slide, please. So when you look at your business credit score, look at that left-hand box there. It says reports and scores available for a fee. Most business credit reports are going to report to the Dun & Bradstreet. Most commercial lenders use the Dun & Bradstreet as their method, as well as Equifax and Experian. How do you build your business credit? First of all, it's important that you register your business entity. You get an EIN number. And let me just kind of pause here a minute. When the EIDL loan came out and businesses were trying to apply for money, it is amazing how many of those businesses did not have an EIN number, nor did they have a DUNS number. So I think this was a lesson learned for a lot of our businesses, the importance of registering your business, getting that EIN number and getting that DUNS number, because if, and the potential is out there right now that there's going to be more PPP money, you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row if you weren't able to apply the first time, to make sure that your business is up and ready to go to apply for stimulus, in the next round. So again, you establish a dedicated business address, you apply for a DUNS number, establish your trade lines with suppliers, get a business credit card or a line of credit, borrow from lenders who report to a business credit bureau. Or again, if they don't, you can self-report it. Check your business credit report for accuracy. Pay all your business bills and loans on time. That's critical. That's the #1 factor in determining your credit score. And keep your business and your personal separate. I think that is a key factor also, as we've gone through all of this stimulus money and businesses are now in the forgiveness portion of it. And now they're trying to say, okay, well, I always kept my business and my personal, accounts together. No, you can't. You have to separate that because of the way the programs, are lined up. Go ahead, Hetty. Your business credit score. Each has its own method for calculating based on credit. Again, your length of credit history, credit utilization, your credit mix, payment history, balances, and trends. Demographic details are more important in a business credit score: your business size, your year in business, and your industry risk. Each business has their own risk factor, and that's determined by the nature of your business. Public records, amount, and frequencies associated with bankruptcies, judgments, and liens. Anything you want to add to that, Hetty?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
There's,
next slide.
the RMA, of course, is what they can look at to find out some of the demographics
Okay.
in there.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
So here's kind of a snapshot of what your business credit report might look like. Again, your business name is on there, your credit score, your recommended credit, legal and UCC filings. That UCC filing, there was a lot of question on that with the EIDL loan. A lot of people did not understand what a UCC filing is. And basically what that is it's a blanket collateral agreement. So a lot of times, instead of us going in and doing inventory, I mean, you can imagine the vast number of applications we had. There's no way that we could send somebody out to actually do a one-on-one inventory analysis with every deal. So we would just go in and file, SBA would just go in and file what we call a UCC filing, and that's a blanket collateral agreement. It takes all of your business assets into consideration, and we take collateral on that for our loan. Company overview, company description, your management directory, and then your business expenditures. You can go again to Equifax up at the top, and then small business credit report. Okay, Hetty. Again, you could see the more detail that these business credit reports have on them versus your personal one. A lot of it is trending, you know, that we, again, when you go into a commercial lender and you want to apply for credit on your business, they're going to look at the trends of your business right now. That you can imagine the restaurant industry, the hotel motel industry. You can, you know, how important those trends are before somebody is going to actually extend credit to, you know, somebody in those industries just because of the pandemic. Okay, next slide, Hetty. Here's our local information out there. We, in North Dakota and in South Dakota, we have the Women's Business Centers. We have, and this is for North Dakota. I think, Hetty, there you have another slide for South Dakota. So this is for North Dakota. And then I think your next slide, yep, is for South Dakota. Perfect. And you will notice that these are our partners. We partner with the Women's Business Center, of course. You know, thank you for allowing us to do these webinars every week. The Small Business Development Centers, the SCORE, and then the VBOX, the Veterans Business Outreach Center. Those are our partners within SBA. Next slide, Hetty. Or are we done?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Again, our local contact information and where our district offices are located at. We do have resource guides available, and you can get those at any of our partners or usually at any of our lenders. We'll have resource guides. Those resource guides are a wonderful tool for you to have because it explains all the different programs and business partners that we have within SBA. It's a wonderful tool, to, you know, just to have. Go ahead, Hetty.
Yeah, that's, if you go to our websites there, sba.gov/SD for South Dakota or /ND for North Dakota, both of those sites have those resource guides on them in PDF format. So you can just download them and go through them, or you can email them to somebody. But
good point.
Are available besides, you know, just being in hardcover. You know, the lenders have them, the economic developers have them, all the resource partners have them in hardcover, so you can pick them up and page through them. But they're also available in PDF format on those sites. So I think that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
So I know there's still a lot of questions out there about PPP and EIDL. Please know that we have heard that our actual continuing resolution ends on Friday. We've heard through the grapevine that we're going to get a short-term extension because of the new PPP stimulus that's going to be rolled out. We'll have more information for you on that as we receive that information. I still don't know what it's going to involve, but are there any questions in regards to PPP or EIDL right now at this time? And Hetty can jump in, she's an expert as well.
Yep, I'm gonna check the chat
And
here.
Julie, I hope you're still on to monitor.
Yep, I'm on. Let's see. I don't see anything in
Okay,
the chat
perfect.
yet, or the Q&A.
Okay,
But, you know, like we always mention, we will have all of the contact information sent to everyone along with the corresponding slides. We'll have the link, of course, to the recording. So if things come up later in the week, I know Hetty and Pam would be happy to kind of, you know, reference back to you and get you the answer that you need, even if it's not today, you know, live. But we do have them, so I'll wait just a second more to see if there's anything else. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about credit. It could be about EIDL, about PPP. If you do have any questions, really about anything, you know, they are the experts, and I know that they have some great information. They can kind of guide you where you need to go. So I don't see any questions here. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up, and I'll make sure to get this recording and slides out to everyone along with contact information. So thank you again to our presenters, Hetty and Pam. It's so wonderful that we can partner and do this. I know it provides a lot of great information to people. So we look forward to working with you both in the future. Thank you for everyone that joined us today. We're glad that you're able to make it, and we will see everyone next time. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pam.